So, ladies and gentlemen, he is back. One of my favorite guests, Simon Chokwisky, and today he's actually discussing a very interesting subject of Yoga Tara in Vedic astrology. So, without further ado, take it over, Simon.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for having me back. You know, when you proposed this topic, I wasn't sure what you wanted to talk about, but this is one of the things that I find fascinating, and I even wrote about it in my book, Gambler's Dharma. So what I'm sharing here, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Is a chapter from my book specifically about using the nakshatra taras. And so I'm going to go through what it means here, but I'll start with a quote from the Brihat Samhita, and by the way, they flubbed the spelling here. This should be a T, not a D, because in Sanskrit, before it's a T before an S, it would be a D before a soft consonant, but this is not a soft. Anyway, wow. There are a couple other minor mistakes in the book as well. But what Varaha Mihira says is that if you're a king, the essence of your kingdom, your property, is the capital city. Within the capital city, the essence is your castle. Within the castle, the essence of the castle is the king's chambers. And the essence of the king's chamber is a beautiful bed, and on that bed is the queen lying draped with jewels, looking at you with love. And to me, I take this as an analogy for the nakshatras, because we know that the nakshatras are a space of 13 degrees, 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But the essence of that space is really that queen who is bedecked with jewels, who is the Tara, the actual star in the sky that's shining brightly, that exemplifies the meanings of that nakshatra.
Okay.
So, for example, if you've ever been on a tour through Mumbai or through Hollywood, and they take you by the movie star's house, Madonna's house, let's say, and they say, "Well, hey, that's Madonna's house."
Yeah.
Well, the house is nice, but the fact that it's Madonna's house and that she's the one who lives there, that's what makes it precious.
Yeah.
The house is just a house.
Yeah.
If they said, "Oh, this is the city planner's house," you'd be like, "All right, whatever. Who's the city planner?" No, it's Madonna's house. So the stars are what give each nakshatra their star power. So what I'd like to go through today is, first of all, to show you what the degrees are for each of those marker stars called Yoga Taras. And I'm going to flip through here. So, by the way, just a little quick thing about this this book. It's called Gambler's Dharma because it's about predicting outcomes, particularly sporting outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of stuff in this book, like these nakshatra taras, like the namapadas, how to use the sounds in the horoscope, that I think could be instructive, are instructive probably for a lot of people studying Jyotisha. So even if you're not into gambling or predicting sports or predicting at all, I would encourage you to look at this, because my teacher asked me to write a book on Jyotish, and my first response was, I don't know anything. What can I add? What can I add more than any of the other great people who've written books? And he just kind of looked up in his own way and he said, just write a book. And I said, all right, whatever, maybe in 20 years. And then this happened, and this came, and it just came out of nowhere. So I like to think that this is somehow an expression of his will. So anyway, so
question here.
Yes.
You have Aradra at 5-degree Gemini, but Aradra doesn't start till 6:45 of the Gemini sign. So how is that going into shouldn't that be Mrigashira?
Yeah.
Agree.
Funny, huh?
Yeah.
So the Yoga Taras, not all of them are actually in the nakshatra that they represent.
Okay, okay.
And this is in part because even though they are called nakshatra, na means not, ksha has to do with space, tra means crossing. So a nakshatra is literally something that doesn't cross space, meaning a fixed star. And yet we know that the fixed stars do actually move, but they move extremely slowly. So that's one thing. But the other thing is that, yes, these marker stars, a few of them are outside of the actual nakshatras that they represent. So this is gonna, this is an interesting phenomenon, but I don't think anyone disagrees that Ardra is represented by Betelgeuse, a very bright red, angry star in the shoulder of Orion. And you can also make the case for, let me see, for Jyeshta, which represents, it's the star Antares at about 16 degrees Scorpio, which represents, Jyeshta is represented by Antares, but it's actually not in the, in Jyeshta, it's just before it. Some say that Mula's Tara is Ophiuchus, the star at about 28.5 degrees Scorpio, which again is not in the Mula Nakshatra, although I claim that Mula is actually at 3 Sagittarius. But so we'll get to this. Purvashada also. So there's a number of marker stars, Yoga Taras, that actually lie outside of the artificial span that we've given these. Because 13 degrees 20 is, it's an abstraction. It's something that we humans have used to slice up space in the sky.
Yeah.
Right? Now, there's nothing wrong with that, because think about it, your property lines on your property are an abstraction. Nature didn't come sliced up with Kapiel's house, your neighbor's property, their property, right?
Yeah.
It's a human it's a human abstraction, but it's one that we all agree on. So if you go next door to your neighbor's house and start doing a fire ceremony, and they're conservative Christians, that abstract notion of, hey, this is my land you're on, is going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And you can present legal ramifications. So 1320 works, but we have to remember, it's not an actual division in the sky that you can see. What you can see is the actual stars. They're there. So the Yoga Taras are particularly important when your ascendant or any house cusp, so also the descendant, the 7th house cusp, or any planet is within about 2.5 degrees of these degree Yoga Tara positions. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So, so let's say you have a planet at about 5 degrees Gemini. Is it going to produce Mrigashira results, or is it going to produce Ardra results? Well, according to what I just professed, and I'm sort of proffering out there for you guys to test this, because it's within the orb, the 2.5 degrees of this powerful star, that it's going to be in essence pulled in, sucked into its influence. And I would suggest that that planet or that cusp, if it's the ascendant, is going to present Ardra, strong Ardra qualities.
Okay.
Even though technically it's still in Mrigashira.
Yeah. So it'll have qualities of both the nakshatras in it.
Yeah. And some of their qualities also do blend. I mean, even though Mrigashira is a soft nakshatra, Ardra is a fierce nakshatra or a dreadful deep nakshatra. They both have to do with forests and you know, possibly hunting and the outdoors and in herbs and they do share a number of meanings. So I don't mean to use this to confuse you guys, but as an extra tool for you to research and use. Okay, so I'm presenting the fruits of my research here. So let's just start and go through them. Ashwini is a female horse. Really should be Ashwinyao because it's two horses, but it's okay. So it's their marker stars are at 10 degrees Aries and 1345 Aries. Okay. And by the way, a really good website. Let me give a new share here and take you guys to another screen. This is a website called constellationofwords.com.
Okay.
It lists all of the fixed stars. This is in longitudinal order. You can also see them in different orders, alphabetical order and whatnot. Now, this is in Western, by the way. This is in the tropical zodiac.
Okay.
So you have to subtract 24 degrees. So here it says it's at basically 4 degrees Taurus.
Yeah.
Subtracting 24 gives you 10 degrees Aries.
Aries, yeah.
And so here are the Ashwini twins. These are the two stars here, Sherutan and Hamal, as they're called in the Western and I guess the Arabic name. But they both point to the head. You see, one is the horn of the ram, Aries the ram, and the other is sort of his forehead or third eye. And so someone born with a planet or the ascendant or another cusp within 2.5 degrees of these stars is going to exemplify the qualities of Ashwini. And what are some of those qualities? Well, speed, swiftness.
Mm-hmm.
This idea of prana, nasal passages, the movement of the breath through the sinuses. You know, Ashwini, you know, if it's the seventh cusp or the seventh lord that's there, then maybe the partner is from a different caste. Because remember the story of Shravana, who had to marry the princess. And here's this sannyasi who's much older and a different caste. And here's this young princess. You know the story and then the Ashwini twins come and they cause trouble. So Ashwini is related to the story of the ascetic Shravana, who was sitting doing his meditation, and a princess tripped over him. And because they connected, they touched, he had to marry her. And he said, well, wait, you know, I'm an old, shriveled old man. Come back here in a year and I'll marry you. And then, of course, he invents this thing called Chavan Prash, which is he gets amalaki, gets, you know, the good herbs, some ashwagandha, you know, some gold bhasma, mixes them up nicely, cooks it up, starts taking it, and he turns into this vibrant young guy. And then so the princess comes back a year later and she sees this beautiful man. She's like, where's the old guy? He says, I'm the old guy. So he did that for her so she wouldn't have to suffer. But anyway, this idea of people from very different castes coming together is a theme of Ashwini. So if you're
something like a higher caste or lower caste thing, or just a different ethnic group?
Yeah, well, higher, lower, but also different nationalities. I had a client who his mom was Japanese and his dad was American, and I asked him, you know, is your mom and dad from very different cultures? And he told me, yeah. And then there was an age difference, and because I think it was Saturn or something, and so it was an afflicted planet, it had caused problems in their lives, and you know, it created some suffering. But if it's a good planet, it just means that, yeah, they're from different cultures and they come together nicely.
Okay.
You know, like Shravana, who took his prash and became a super, you know, Ayurvedic Vajikarana kind of guy. So Ashwini, that's one of the meanings. So, but whatever planet or cusp is at 10 degrees or 13.5 or 13.75 degrees will carry the meanings of Ashwini very strongly. The person may have a deep interest in medicine, in herbs. And you'll have to figure that out from what the planets are that are there, what houses they rule, you know, because every nakshatra has a lot of meanings.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
So does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'll let me go actually to another. This is a graph of all of the degrees of the nakshatra taras and some additional ones. But I'm going to go through and let me go through here. Here they are. So here, a little bit later in the book, I give you the exact names and you know what some of the meanings can be, and this is especially in relation to sports, but it's actually worth a read here. But we got 27 to do, so I won't reread all of them. So Bharani, the marker stars, it's a little downward triangle that looks, you know, like a yoni, and around 24 degrees Aries. And this position, 24 degrees Aries, is also in an Ayuddha Drekana, right? Which is a weapon Drekana. It's in a male sign. It's a sign ruled by Mars. So it has to do with violence and bloodshed. So, you know, I put here, hey, you know, don't plan a potentially dangerous event like running with the bulls or even a marriage for that matter with this nakshatra's tara prominent.
That's running with the bulls for sure.
Right? Like, because there is literally, there's weapons are instruments like for surgery, for cutting things off, for, you know, violence. And so something that's soft like a marriage or a date, you want to do it during another nakshatra. So let's say Venus is at, or some planet, Mars is at 24 degrees Aries, and it's rising on the ascendant. That's not the moment to do your marriage ceremony.
Yeah.
Because it'll bring out the meanings of Bharani, which, you know, I'm sure your viewers know a lot of those meanings, but one of them, especially with planets at this degree, has to do with bloodshed and violence, trauma. As well as, you know, the Lord Yama and everything that has, dharma and seclusion and all the other stuff. All right. The next is 6 degrees Taurus, which is the Pleiades, and the main star of the Pleiades is considered Alcyon. And so if you have something, let's say your 10th Lord is at 6 degrees Taurus, then things having to do with Kritika's representations become especially prominent for your work. So maybe you're an author. Why an author? Because Agni, the deity of Kritika, has two faces. One is pointing out towards the world of humankind. The other is pointing back towards the world of the gods. And he translates our wishes, Agnaye Svaha, right, into the divine language. And then he translates that language back. So Agni, in a sense, is a translator, an author, a biographer, a videographer. So in modern terms, people who do that kind of work have this Kritika influence. So either biographers, documentary makers, authors, stuff like that. Or
film editors too, because Kritika is about, you know, cutting.
Exactly, cutting and technology. So that's, of course, another meaning.
Yeah.
Agni, they could do fire rituals, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe they will do fire ceremonies over the course.
A lot of chefs are seen through this, people who own
chefs as well. Beautiful. Yeah. Exactly, because fire also eats the offering, whatever you put into it. So yeah, a lot of meanings, but and you can decide which one it'll be based on the planet that's there. So if it's, you know, if it's Venus as the ruler of the second house, they might be a chef.
Yeah.
Right. it's Mercury is the ruler of the 3rd or the 5th or the 9th, then they might be an author or a communicator who uses technology to communicate, podcast. All right, moving on, I'm going to skip the Hyades. Rohini, the star Aldebaran, the eye of the bull, is at 16 degrees Taurus. So if you have your ascendant here or a prominent planet, Rohini, you'll get the extra effects of Rohini, which could mean, especially if you're a woman, jealousy from other women. Because remember, Rohini was the favorite star and everyone else was jealous. Or Ruh, it comes from Ruh, which means to become red, and when you become red, you become excited, sexually excited. Humans and animals become flushed, right, when they're turned on, and so they may have a reddish face, or the redness may come up. Rohini has to do with trucks. If the 4th lord is at 16 degrees Taurus, you ask him, hey, and if it's Venus, do you drive a white truck? You don't know how often I've seen that.
Well, actually, I mean, Rohini is also like the chariot, like a vehicle.
Yeah, it's a vehicle, but it's specifically.
I actually know somebody who has moon at 16 degree Taurus. First of all, women like throw themselves at this guy.
It's a guy, right?
Yeah, it's a guy. He is literally a multimillionaire. He has a Ferrari, Bentley, you name it, he has it. He's got, and I think this particular moon lands in Vargottama position too, in Navamsha, if I'm not mistaken. But he has always gained somehow, some way. Anytime he got married, he gained from he has been married 4 times, but he has gained through his spouses. Like they would give like 7-Elevens or liquor stores they would own, and they would give that under his name. And
yeah, well, 1320 to 1640, the moon would be Vargottama. So that's the position, and of course that's an exalted moon. So you're getting the best of Rohini. If it were something else, like maybe Ketu there, or an unpleasant planet.
Ketu and Saturn and Rohini, I have always seen, no matter how many vehicles they have, they will all have some scratch in it. They always get some scratch or a little bump.
Right.
You can avoid it.
Saturn through Rohini, the ancients warn us about all not just vehicles, but crops and all kinds of
they had famine during Saturn and Rohini.
Yeah. So of course it depends on the planet that's there, and that's you make a judgment, but absolutely rules vehicles, and so the type of vehicles would be, hey, if it's an exalted moon, they'd be very expensive vehicles, flashy. Moon is flashy.
Mm-hmm.
If they're Saturn, they might definitely be older vehicles. Rahu would be a foreign car, or Ketu. Jupiter would be like an SUV or a big car.
Mm-hmm.
So you can make the connections. Yes, all right. So that's enough about Rohini, but very interesting stuff, right? Ruh also means to climb. So in a sense, a person's life is always moving up, like they're moving up. If the Lord of the second is in Rohini, they'll look up a lot, because the second is the eyes, and their glance will be upward gazing. There's so many ways to use these, but when a planet is within 2.5 degrees of this Tara, it's especially strong Rohini energy.
Okay.
All right. Right at the end of Taurus, the marker star of Mrigashira is 29 degrees 45. And so you get, the meanings of Mrigashira emphasized at this point. I'll just move on here because I got a lot more to cover. Of course, at 5 degrees Gemini, this is Betelgeuse, which is the main star Tara of Ardra. And I'll share my.
They say they cry a lot. Rudra begins to cry. Okay, I see.
No, this is some of the stories here about. They definitely Ardra people want to reform the world, and they usually have a a family, when they're young with the same-sex parent, the person will likely have a big break. So if it's a girl, it's with the mom. If it's a boy, it's with the dad. And
Ardra big break, like fights or separation.
Yeah, big separation. Okay. The person wants to run away from. The other person is constantly desiring freedom and independence. Yeah. Constantly. But they don't always get it. And this is a big issue in their life, is they're trying, to be financially independent, to be independent of family and other laws and influences, but there's always something, trying to keep them down. And so it's the big fight. Ardra people want to reform the world. A friend of mine is an Ardra person who teaches yoga in prisons. There's a strong sense of wanting to, not being afraid to work with dangerous populations or go to dangerous places. So many meanings with Ardra. But yeah, so that's the 5 degrees. In fact, I had a client recently. I'll share this Betelgeuse here, just so you can see. And, I'm usually not very good as a Vedic astrologer. That's why I teach. What you can't do, you teach. Mm-hmm. But just, this one day I got this hit with this person's chart. And see, Betelgeuse is the right shoulder of Orion. See that? Yeah. And there was and this person had a very sensitive point right at 5 degrees Gemini. And I got this sense of, and I said, listen, this is going to sound totally crazy to you. So just, hear it and just forget it. But I have to say it because it's coming up strongly in me. I said, in a past life, according to what I'm sensing here, you stabbed someone through the right shoulder or the armpit or through the clavicle, like in this area, and caused them a tremendous amount of pain. You were a soldier, right? And that was kind of, you had to do it. And, she kind of froze and she said, Simon, all of my life, I've been to every doctor, I've been to every therapist. I've had this pain from C3, from my neck, referring down the right shoulder, the clavicle, and no one has been able to diagnose it. It's not a compressed vertebra. It's, I've been to chiropractors, this and that and whatever. And I thought, holy crap. Yeah. So
what planet was sitting there?
It was actually the Lagna, but there was a couple other things involved.
Okay.
And again, this isn't something that you go, okay, if A plus B, then it must equal C. Then, everyone who has Ardra has stabbed somebody. No, it's not like that. No. It's just that that's the sense I got. And I got this real deep, there were a lot of fierce nakshatras. There were a lot of Ayudha Drake. There's just a combination of stuff. And this image came to me. So anyway, the point is, these stars are very important. So it's important to know what they represent also in the constellations, because our forefathers and foremothers, they were looking up at the sky. Yeah. And they knew that, this is a hunter, this is Orion, this is this represents a person, and this represents a part of the body as well. Okay, so
now you said Betelgeuse is at 5 degrees, and this is the Anuradha constellation, right? Now, can you use these other stars as part of the Anuradha system and then come up with its own mythological stories? Like if it's the belt, or if it's the right shoulders, like you got the Bellatrix on the left hand.
Yeah.
So, or is it just Betelgeuse that is occurring in Anuradha?
That's a good question. And by the way, there are stars all over. Why are we just using these specific ones? Well, we're using these because they lie on the ecliptic, which is the path that the sun travels, and as well as all the other planets. Yeah. 23 degrees and 23 up and 23 down. Mm-hmm. So this ecliptic is so the planets will actually cross these stars. Most of
Oh,
them.
I see. Okay, okay.
So they can have actual conjunctions.
Okay.
Now, if you look at the star Vega or the North Star, ain't no planet. If you see a planet conjunct the North Star, you know, it's apocalypse. Where something's happening that shouldn't be happening.
Okay.
Then you still don't have to worry because stuff, you know, whatever. But so the planets and the sun, and the moon, they travel along this path, and they will conjunct Betelgeuse. They will conjunct Regulus, Maghas.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But some they won't. And so there are about 2 or 3 exceptions, and I'll get to those as we go along here. But yes, the short answer is yes. You can use Rigel. You can use Bellatrix. This is Mrigashira, by the way.
Yeah.
Now you see this. What does Mrigashira mean? Shira means head, and this is the head of the hunter. Now, Mriga means deer, but in a sense, Mrigana is hunting, stalking, and this is the hunter. So, in a sense, this is the Mrigashira. This is the head of the hunter. But if you know, technically, it should be the deer's head, the stag's head.
Mm-hmm.
But what was Brahma doing in the story of Mrigashira? He turned himself into a stag so he could hunt the deer that he was after because he wanted to have sex with her. He was and then Shiva cut his head off. So literally, Brahma was the hunter. He was hunting this poor deer.
Yeah.
And he got his head cut off. And it's very interesting because the story of Orion is that why are these stars so small? Why isn't his head big? Because they say his head is in the heavens because it's above the clouds and it's hard to see it. So his head is in the God realm, his body is in the realm of humans where we can see it. So the Greek myth is very similar to the Vedic myth that says Mrigashira, the head of the deer, is in the heavens. Do you know what I mean? And it was sliced off. In a sense, it's cut from the rest of the body.
Okay.
So it's a very interesting story. But Mrigashira has to do with stalking. So if the 7th Lord is conjunct Mrigashira and there's a malefic, then the person would suffer from being stalked.
Because other people are trying to stalk you because it's the 7th house.
Well, it could be that way too. If it's also related to the lagna and it connects to you, yes. But that idea of stalking comes across pretty strongly. So, all right, is this making sense? Is this?
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna skip this one.
This is very interesting. This is great stuff.
I'm gonna offer something to your viewers, people who stick through the end of this presentation.
Oh, trust me, when it comes to nakshatras, they all will watch it all throughout.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, you guys stick through this. I'll give you a little offer here.
Okay.
Since we're trying to get through this pretty fast, and it's always hard, within an hour's time or so to really go deep. But okay, Punarvasu's marker star is Pollux, which is 29.5 degrees Gemini. For contests, I find that it's very useful. It usually means victory. Punarvasu, there's another star associated with it, 21 degrees Gemini, which is, you guys can research this yourselves. And I certainly encourage you to do that. The star Canopus, which falls, so in the Sayana, the tropical zodiac, it falls at about 15 Cancer. Mm-hmm. You subtract 24 degrees, you get 21 Gemini. And at 21 Gemini longitude, now this is really, really south. This star is really south, so you can see it from India, but not from the northern latitudes. Okay. By the way, this star, I believe, is referred to as Agastya. This represents Agastya Rishi. So just follow me here. Just follow me here. Canopus is one of the brightest stars in the entire sky. It's actually the second biggest star in the sky after Sirius.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very bright. It's a southern star, and it represents the keel of a ship. So I'm going to ask your viewers to perhaps verify this in you as well, Kapiel, because I have not done the research, but what it says about this star is that the person will be a traveler and a navigator and someone who writes about their travels, so perhaps even a storyteller. Now, this fits the meanings of Punarvasu, right? You know, the arrow leaving the quiver, going, coming back, constant movement, travel, and so on. But so what I would put to you guys out there is those of you who have, say, the ruler of your ascendant at 21 degrees Gemini, or your ascendant at 21 Gemini, or the ruler of the ninth, or some significant position there. Are you a world traveler? Or if not, do you constantly read National Geographic magazine and constantly read, you know, big philosophy, and or are you a good storyteller?
Oh.
So this is something to consider and look at, because these stars are important. And think about it. It's this bright white star, and now you have another bright thing like Venus or Jupiter in the sky, and they're looking at it. They're right there on the same. Now, Canopus would be down here because it's very low, but still they share the same longitude. They amplify each other. So I don't know, I find it pretty exciting. It's another way to give deep meaning. So I think 21 degrees of Gemini, as well as 29.5, both pertain to Punarvasu Nakshatra. But classically, I think it's this one. It's 29.5 degrees.
Okay.
All right, Pushya is very, very faint. It's a little cluster, tiny cluster of stars. It looks like a flower, right? Because another name of Pushya is Tishya, and it's a little flower, or it's but it's not very bright. So.
And yet they say that Pushya is the most prosperous nakshatra in the.
Yeah, well, because it represents a flower or an udder, the udder of a cow that gives you what milk it feeds you. So Pushya. Pushyati, right? To nourish, that which nourishes you.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily how bright the star is, but the effects that it has on your life when planets especially go through it. So 13.5 or 15 degrees Cancer. Now, when there's an and or a nor, it's when the stars are really faint and it's hard to tell which one it is. With something like Punarvasu, we know where the star is. It's right there.
Yeah.
All right, same thing with Ashlesha, either 18 or 20 degrees. And of course, Shlesha, Shlish means to embrace, to squeeze, to hug. Shleshma is another term for kapha in Ayurveda. That which, like the fat around your body embraces you, right? That's Shlesha. But in Ashlesha, it means that which is, means unto, over and over again. Gachati goes, agachati, comes back. There's a sense of over and over. So Ashlesha is the snake winding around you. And of course, both of these fall in Sarpadrekanas. So again, the serpent, that which hugs you very tightly. So there's a sense of constriction here, feeling constricted.
Like such people like to crush things too. Like
and they like to crush it.
They will crush it and throw it away.
Right. All right, so now we get to another big star, which is Regulus at 6 degrees Leo. And this is, Trump's, what is his? Mars. His Mars is there, right? So as a Leo ascendant, Mars rules his 4th house of homes. So Regulus is represented by the castle, the king's castle. Magha Nakshatra.
And his home is all gold. Everything.
It's all gold.
Like a castle. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because Mars is the 4th lord. Mars also the ninth lord, so his father would have been very regal as well. And I don't
And
know
he was.
Yeah, I guess he gave him his fortune.
Yeah.
So there is, but that also speaks to the idea of Magha people will carry on the tradition of their ancestors, and their dharma is to amplify it, right? And I've seen people with Saturn at this position, and what they've done actually is the opposite. They've stopped, they've cut the tradition of the ancestors, which has caused a lot of pain in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but yeah, 6 degrees, all of the big meanings of Magha come to pass.
And what about Purva Phalguni?
So PP, 17 and a half Leo. So this is the star Zosma, which is another prominent star in the Lion. Let's just take a look at it here really quick. Here it is. Zosma is the lion's butt, or his back here. But many cultures have talked about this. The Chinese, the Arab, and so on. But Purva Phalguni has to do with gluttony and accumulation. And so Purva Phalguni people tend to be hoarders, especially if, there's Venus and Jupiter, and they accumulate a lot of stuff. So that's one of the negative meanings. Sexiness and all that is certainly.
A lot of porn stars I've seen have Purva Phalguni in them.
Yeah, this is the prime glitz and glamour nakshatra. The wedding, it's going to be a $100,000 wedding. We're going to have people throwing flowers. We're going to have everything is a big deal.
Yeah.
Everything is over the top. Glitz and glamour is part of their real estate. They're really good at. They love luxury. They love excess, but that excess can be excessive.
And they also love sleeping too, because it represents the bed. They'll sleep all day if they have to.
Yeah, and what's interesting, Purva and Uttara Phalguni are the marriage bed, the bed where you make love and make life. And opposite of that is Purva and Uttara Bhadrapada, which is the deathbed.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting. But yeah, PP and UP also can relate to medicine, because this is where, when people are sick, they're in the bed, and you as a doctor can help them out. And Purva Phalguni is definitely lazy. Like, there's a lazy influence on planets and cusps placed on it in games.
Malefic impacts it. Yeah.
But definitely accumulation. They can hoard. And the last thing about Purva Phalguni people is they like to rely on their luck way too much. It's like they're driving, the gas tank says empty, and they're like, no, I know I'll get to the gas station just in time. And literally the car will run out of gas, but they'll be on a hill, and it'll just take them right into the gas station. And they're lucky, but they can rely on it too much. Okay. Hasta. This is an interesting one. So there are a couple of stars that qualify for Hasta. One is at 16 Virgo, which is the star Vindemayatrix or Epsilon Virginis. Mm-hmm. And the other is at about 20 degrees Virgo. Now, I think 20 degrees Virgo is maybe the more likely, but 16 I use for games because Vindemayatrix is the female warrior. Mm-hmm. And the problem with this one is that she's a widow. And Hasta Nakshatra isn't known necessarily to be, Hasta is very innocent. It's a cherub. It's very pure and chaste. And as a result, it's not great for Hasta is represented by a young cherub, like a young, baby or child that's pre-pubescent. And so it's not great for sex life or dating. And the Western myth has to do with this being a widow maker. So just to be on the safe side, again, if you're planning a wedding or anything, 16 Virgo, even though Virgo is a nice sign and all that, avoid that. You know,
Okay.
whatever. All right. Or if you're like me, actually go on a date with 16 degrees, like when the Venus is exactly at this degree, or that's rising, or you know, talk to your honey, see what happens.
Yeah.
Test stuff out. Learn the hard way.
Learn the hard way.
All right, Chitra is at the end of Virgo, basically 0 degrees Libra. Swati is very close. Now, this is one that is another exception. It's the star Arcturus. The problem is, we don't know if this is really the star for Swati, but there is no other star. So, Arcturus is very far up in the sky, so no planet actually will conjunct it. Okay, it's one of these that are outside of the ecliptic.
Okay.
So
It says, under the Vishakha, it says a good second tier boost. What does that mean?
Well, hold on, I got to open a window here because
Sure.
It's very warm. I'm in Puerto Rico at the moment, and it's like,
oh man, you're a traveler. Do you have Punarvasu or what? You're always traveling.
Yeah, actually I do. So I have K2 in Punarvasu, and I'm running a K2
and you do
period
all
now.
these spiritual travels. Like you were in Thailand just like a couple of months ago. Then you were, I remember you were, I think, somewhere in northern Washington. It's always travel with you. So we get that. Okay.
I have a weak fourth lord, and so I don't like staying at home.
Okay.
But yeah, I am running the period of a planet in Punarvasu, and interestingly enough, in the astrocartography, I'm at a place where the period of that planet is, I mean, the line of that planet runs right through where I'm currently visiting.
That's like the east coast of US, right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
You might as well move to East Coast.
I might come visit you pretty soon.
I know.
I'm just going to show up at your house. You got an extra room?
Hey, I got enough rooms. You come and I'll cook for you good Indian food. Yeah, I'll cook for you.
Careful.
Aloo, mushroom, whatever you want. All
okay.
The Korean, yeah.
If you're cooking aloo, make sure you add ghee and black pepper. So.
Oh, actually, aloo matar and masala aloo. I will make all of that for you.
Good. That's the Ayurvedic remedy for aloo, because for potatoes. Because.
Do you eat non-veg? I got some good wild game at home.
Over the winter, I ate non-veg. Yes.
Okay.
In this season, in the spring, I like to go lighter, so I'm eating more lighter food. Dr. John Duyard has written an excellent book called The 3-Season Diet, and he's an Ayurvedic doctor, and it makes a hell of a lot of sense that when Dr. John.
Like the body needs that heat, so the fatty things and non-veg make sense. Right now it's winter here. Like if I go outside in DC, it's like literally 35 degrees right now.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. So spring hasn't started for you.
No, it keep going back. Like I think we're getting a snowstorm again next week, north side of DC. So the Arctic winds are coming again.
Okay. Well, this is definitely a good book and worth getting. 3-Season Diet. So here, spring is definitely in the air. So I'm eating a lot lighter. You know, heavy meat and is not. Okay. It doesn't make me feel good when I'm.
Yeah.
All right. So Swati. The meaning of Swati, Swati. Swa means your own family.
Mm-hmm.
What was it that Dhritarashtra said? Mamakaha. When he's asking in the first line of, oh God, stuff slips away from. Mamaka Pandavascheva Kimakurvata Sanjaya. So when he's asking Sanjaya, then the first line of the Bhagavad Gita, Mamaka, my family, and the Pandavas. Tell me what happened between them. Now, he's supposed to be the head of the whole family. So he's not supposed to say Magha, my clan, and the Pandavas. But that's the meaning of Sva, what my people. Ati means to go beyond. So Swati people go beyond their clan, either by traveling, because it's ruled by Vayu, the wind, so the wind will take them, or by transcending their limiting cultural beliefs. So Swati people are very interested in knowledge. They're inspired by Saraswati and learning, but going beyond the limitations of their kind. So Swati people go beyond. And the star for Swati, Arcturus, is beyond. It's way up there. So it's beyond where the planets can reach. So it's kind of a beautiful correlation. So if you have planets at, around 0 to 2.5 Libra, of course, some of the meanings will mix with Chitra, but what are you going to do? Yeah. This is where intuition is important. Anyway, but yeah, Swati is at about 0 to 1 degree Libra. Then Vishakha at 21 degrees Libra. Okay. And Vishakha, it's these 2 stars, 2 scales. This is worth taking a look at just one more time here. Let's go to... So here are the scales. Zuben El Genubi is one, and Zuben Es Kemali is the other. Alpha and Beta Libra. So here are these 2 parts of the scales. Now, who is the ruler of Vishakha Nakshatra?
Jupiter.
Well, in the Vimshotri Dasha scheme, yes, but it's Indragni right? And there they are, Indra and Agni.
Yeah.
And they're the 2, it's just a different way of looking at it. But they're the 2, instead of a scale, here are these 2 gods. Okay. And Vishakha, Shakha is a branch. Vishakha means that which is split in 2. So it's a branch that forks. And so Vishakha people, especially if you have something at 21 Libra, you're going to be split between 2 careers, if it's the 10th Lord. Meaning that you'll achieve everything. This is what I've seen very often. Person achieves everything in the corporate life, and then they completely cut it off and go in a different direction.
Yes, between 38 and 42, they go from a corporate career to a complete spiritual career.
Right? I've seen that so much with this, especially with Vishakha.
Yeah.
So if they have a planet very close to the 21, but even anywhere in Vishakha, but especially within 2.5 degrees of the 21, then that becomes even more prominent or likely. Okay, fine. Anuradha, either 8 or 10 degrees. Then the big one, Antares, 16 Scorpio, exactly opposite Rohini.
Jyeshta, okay.
So Jyeshta and Rohini are their marker stars are exactly opposite. All right, let's boogie here. So you'll get the jealousy will come up again here with Jyeshta. You'll get some of this because it's also Scorpio. It's also meanings of that nakshatra will become prominent. Then Mula, the root, the source of the universe. Now I like Mula as at 3 degrees Sagittarius, because that's actually where the root, the black hole at the center of our galaxy is located.
Okay.
That's the longitude. Now, Mula has no marker star that we know of. Some people take, as I said, Ophiuchus, which is a 28.5 Scorpio. Some people take about 1 degree Sagittarius, the star Shaula, the sting of the scorpion. I like 3 degrees for the galactic center because it really has the meanings of the root, going deep. Mula people like to go deep.
Okay.
All right. Mula is bad for Mula.
Mula is bad
for money. Usually money situation is up and down. Not always though. I mean, there's definitely plenty of what's his name? The guy who owns CNN has Mula prominent.
Okay.
All right, Purva and Uttarashada. These are, again, not a lot of agreement, but I think around 11 Sagittarius. Again, this is outside of the actual nakshatra for Purva, and about 18 and a half or 19 and a half for Uttarashada. These are tough. But the one that really begs some more research is Abhijit, because Abhijit is the bright star, I think. It's the bright star Vega, which is, again, extremely bright. And it's a 21 and a half Sagittarius. And what I found in sporting matches is that when one team has this prominent, man, they tend to win. This is a victory nakshatra. And the correlation with Abhijit, right, the undefeated, the unbeatable, makes sense. Now, I know that Abhijit is also between like 1 and 9 degrees of Capricorn. That's sort of its territory, but I think the marker star is at around 21 and a half Sagittarius, so more research can be done on this. But I would definitely not ignore this star.
So Abhijit's Yoga Tara is quite far from its actual position of Abhijit, which is like from 9 degrees to 6 to 9 degrees, I believe.
Which is why, you know, you don't have to call it Abhijit. You can, which is why I would work with it. If you have 21 degrees Sagittarius prominent, 21 and a half, or within 2.5 degrees, is the thing that indicates, let's say it's the Lord of your seventh, is your spouse, you know, victorious?
Yeah.
If that's your, man, if your 10th cusp is at 21 and a half, or your ascendant is at 21 and a half, you know, do you tend to prevail over others and so on, be a success? Again, more research is needed there. One that we don't need more research on is Shravana. Shravana Nakshatra, which is around 8 degrees Capricorn. Now wait, that's Uttarashada. Yes, my friend, I'm sorry. But I've seen a lot of charts, a ton of charts with this degree prominent, and it always indicates good education for whatever, you know, for the person, or let's say if it's the 4th Lord here, the mother had a good education, because Shravana, the person is Shruta. They're well educated. They're learned, because, you know, before you were able to take notes, think about it, 1,000 years ago in India and South India especially, or anywhere actually in the world, there was no printing press. You don't take notes.
Yeah.
You listen.
You listen, yeah.
So learning is listening. So if you're Sushruta, means you're a good student, means you only had to hear something once to get it.
Yeah.
If you're Madhyama Shruta, you have to hear it a couple times. And if you're a Kushruta, no matter how many times they say it, you can't get through your thick skull. Yeah, it's me too, and in many respects. It depends on the discipline. But anyway, we're a product of our world, so we rely on computers and stuff. But Shravana has to do with education. And I found that this degree of Capricorn has a lot to do with education, language, listening, auditory development, all of that stuff. All right. And here I gave a little example where Shravana was very prominent in a game, and the team won 3-0. And I thought how cute that is, how interesting, because Shravana is represented by the 3 steps of Vishnu. And there was a 3-0 victory. Anyway, just stuff like that is kind of, for nerds like me, it's kind of like a little Easter egg, you know, you find little Easter eggs in a video game or something that makes you go, oh, yeah. All right, Dhanishta, 22 and a half or 24. It's either Alpha or Beta Delphini. I think 24 Capricorn is the more likely, but anyway, that's the degree for Dhanishta. Shatabisha at 1745 Aquarius, exactly opposite Leo star.
Okay.
So this now draws a very interesting comparison, because remember what we said about excess, accumulation, overeating, glitz, glamour, too much sex, too much booze with Purva Phalguni? Well, this is the opposite. This is Shatabisha, which is now, 100 doctors that you need.
Yeah.
To take care. This is the consequence of. And if you think about these stars as kind of representing karmic journeys, if you're born at 1745 Aquarius, a story you may make about your life, like the naughty astrologers sometimes do when they read the naughty leaf and they tell you about your past life. Well, a story you might tell yourself is that, hey, in a past life, I may have been, a glutton or someone who overpartied, and now in this life, I was born to conquer that and maybe even become a physician, but at the very least to heal myself. Or Shatabisha is ruled by Varuna. Varuna is related to Varuni, which means alcoholic drink, wine. Or maybe you're still suffering the residual effects of that lifestyle, and so you drink, you have addiction. But there is a very karmic kind of association with these stars, that if you look, when people sometimes ask me, who was I in a past life? I'm like, I don't know. But if they keep digging and keeps, no, tell me, I need to know. Just tell me something. Then I'll look at these stars, and these stars seem to be gateways to the person's evolution. Like Dhanishta has to do with misogyny, with feeling, not necessarily misogyny, but feeling like a stranger in a strange land when it comes to relationships. Like, I just don't know how to relate to women or to men. Like, they're weird. Well, there's a certain karmic reason for that. And if you're born at 22 or 24 degrees Capricorn, especially your 7th lord or 7th cusp, you're carrying the karma of enigmatic relationships, enigmatic relating.
A lot of boxers actually I have seen, or UFC fighters who have this type of degree of Dhanishta.
Yeah, well, Dhanishta, yeah, sure. That's a whole other thing. That's Shiva, the drum, the Shiva. It's Dhanishta is, Michael Jordan has it. A lot of athletes have Dhanishta prominence. It's about wanting to be the foremost amongst the gods, wanting to be recognized.
But isn't that like Indra, who was the chief, then wanting to be the number one of everything? The chief of
there is
Indra.
Yes, Dhanishta is a very driven nakshatra.
Okay.
You're absolutely right. And yes, it does relate with pugilism, boxing, fighting, sports.
Yeah.
Because it's Mars's exaltation.
Yeah.
As well. So these stars, though, I think they are gateways to past lives, and they can show us, I'll share with you a silly example, and there's no way to prove it, but it's something that I feel about my own self. I have Krittika Nakshatra very prominent. And Krittika...
and butter and everything, like chicken.
Actually, hey, dude, you're absolutely right. I used to, when I was studying Ayurveda for about 10 years, I would put ghee on everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Do you have carry around like Swiss knives or like army knives?
No, never into knives, don't like knives, none of that.
What about collecting any weapons, like historic weapons?
No, never. But one thing that is prominent is that I have this sense that in a past life I was a priest, like a Vedic priest, and doing rituals, and that I did rituals and I charged people money for them, And I said, oh, yes, definitely. This will help you for sure. Do it. Give me 5,000 rupees. I'll take care of it. Right? And then I'd do stuff, but I was kind of a quack. And I have that sense. Why? Because also the ruler of Krittika for me is weak. And I'm telling you, part of this life, in this lifetime, is making up for that, is doing penance for that. And I'm not sure if what I'm doing here is helping, but at least we're not charging for this, right?
Yeah.
All right, here we are. We're back to. So what I mean by using these nakshatra taras is that they can be a gateway to looking at our past lives, if you believe in such things. If you don't believe in past lives, that's fine.
If you don't believe in past life, then you shouldn't even studying Jyotish.
No, it's fine. You don't have to, because in what modern science tells us is that we are affected by at least 7 generations of the genes that are passed down by our forefathers.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 or 4 generations up, maybe one of my ancestors was doing this, doing rituals for money and, getting some bad karma for that, and I'm paying the price for it.
Yeah. So
even in a biblical sense, we pay for the sins of our fathers. Of course, past lives make a lot more sense, but you don't have to believe in it.
That's a very interesting.
All right, let's go. Let's move it. Purva Bhadrapada. Purva and Uttara. So for Purva, I've got 29.5 Aquarius.
Mm-hmm.
And then for Uttara, 15 Pisces. The front and the back legs of the hospital bed or the deathbed.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't really tested these, for games. I haven't really seen a lot of effects. So I'll leave it up to you and the listeners to come up with, do some research there. And finally, Pisces is at 26 degrees. Revati, 26 degrees Pisces. And before we wind it up, I'd like to show you a couple of a couple of examples. There are some stars that aren't part of a nakshatra,
okay,
but they still have a powerful effect. So one of these, and I've listed them in the book as well, one of these is 2 degrees of Taurus. And here is a chart of an actual game that happened with the Lord of the Lagna,
mm-hmm.
right, at 2 degrees Taurus.
Okay.
Now, for games, it has to be almost exact, within a degree. In natal charts, it can be within 2.5. This is the star called Algol, Algol, which is one of the worst stars, according to the Western tradition, in the zodiac, which comes from Algol. And I'll read you a little bit about that. But it has to do with decapitation, losing your head.
Whoa, okay.
So this is a match that happened where Italy went up against Costa Rica. And this is where I predicted Costa Rica would win based on a very nice Shubha Kartari Yoga here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Costa Rica won, or at least they tied. And no, I think they won. And so what happened after the game, Italy, who was a heavy, strong favorite, represented by the Lagna, their coach got fired. The head of the team got cut off. You get it?
Yeah.
So they're like literally this actually happened. The Lord of the Lagna, the head, was in Algol, and it got.
Yeah.
That was it. They had enough of him. This is the World Cup. And here's what one author says about this Algol. The name is derived from the Arabic Algol, meaning demon or spirit or devil. The word alcohol is directly related to this star, Algol. Did you know that?
No.
So Algol is part of a double star system. Its darker brother circles around it every 69 hours so that for about 9 hours it appears darker. And so in some book, it's quoted that the Arabic commanders-in-chief in times of conquest made it a point that no important battles were begun when the light of Algol was weak.
Okay. And this is where moon is actually exalted to that degree, at 3 degrees of Taurus.
Yeah,
and moon is liquor, the path of liquor.
So be careful of losing your head.
Yeah.
You know, during those times. So that's one very interesting star, Algol. Yeah, I guess we'll leave it at that.
Okay.
So I hope this was helpful.
Absolutely. This was interesting. I love this.
All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I mentioned that I would offer something.
Yeah.
My teacher asked me to write a book on Jyotish, which I never thought I'd write. This happened to me. And to be honest with you, I think it's a book that came out really well. It's published by Destiny Publications. So if you guys buy it, I don't really get a lot of royalty from it. It's not a self-published book.
Okay.
But the offer I'm going to put out there is I think there's a lot of good stuff in here that is worth sharing.
Okay.
Everyone who buys the book or who has already bought the book, send me a copy of your receipt, and I will choose at random one of the names and offer a free reading.
Awesome. Wow.
30-minute session, anything, Q&A, chart, whatever you want to talk about, on me, for anyone who buys the book or has purchased the book in the last month or so.
Okay.
So you can send me an email to dharmatypes@gmail.com. So I'll write that down here.
Yeah.
Work email, dharmatypes@gmail.com. So any of your listeners, viewers who purchase it,
is this book available to buy? Amazon?
Anywhere. You can buy it as a Kindle. It's available in India. It's available worldwide.
Okay.
So that's the good thing about having a publisher, is that you don't worry about, distribution.
Yeah.
When you publish, you get all of the money, but you have to be your own publisher, basically. Yeah. You don't have time for that. And my publisher is wonderful. I love them. They gave me a great opportunity. They agreed to publish this book. They're not astrology publishers.
Okay.
But I think they made a really lovely book. The layout is great. And I think
Are you taking on consultation anywhere besides even this offer?
No. So that's the thing. I'm currently not doing consultations because when I travel, and I'm currently working on another project. Okay. And my mind is somewhere else. And I hate to say it to clients, but they make an appointment and then my heart is not into the reading, and I don't give them the best reading. And I have to say, listen, I'm sorry, I have to cancel our session. And I've done that like 2 or 3 times already with clients this month. So I'm not taking appointments at the moment. So this is an added bonus incentive for anyone who does get the book, hopefully at least 10 people. As soon as I get more than 10 people, I'll choose one at random and you get a free reading.
Okay, perfect. Great. Thank you so much, Simon, for coming again. And hopefully I'll send you more subject for our...
I think I put you to sleep, man, because
No. I mean, whenever it's nakshatras, I'm just like, I could have gone for another 3-4 hours if you... That's how I love nakshatras, because with them, I can just like look at a chart for 5 seconds and I know exactly what's happening in a chart. That's why they're so powerful.
And there's always something new to learn. Like, I listen to you, or I listen
That's why I wanted to, even get into
one of your guests. And I go, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So we're all contributing to the knowledge pool a little bit through our own research. And that's what, everybody, the greats, some of the greats like, Sri Rao and some of the modern people who are doing great research and work, we're all contributing a little bit to the pot, yourself included. And so, let's keep up the good work.
Thank you so much for coming, Simon.
All right, namaste.
Thank you. Bye-bye.